listening to the Shared Security Podcast, exploring the trust you put in people, apps, and technology with your host, Tom Estin. In episode 125 for June 15th, 2020, my top tips for staying private and secure during a protest. Father's Day is right around the corner, so if you're shopping for dad, think about a gift that will enhance your dad's privacy, digital security, and health. So whether that's a new wallet, a Faraday bag for their key fob, or other stylish products to protect their privacy, visit silentpocket.com and be sure to use discount code SHAREDSECURITY to receive 15% off your order.
Over 90% of individuals show risky behavior in handling potential phishing messages, according to ClickArmor's free CanIBePhished.com self-assessment. This engaging coronavirus edition of CanIBePhished.com can help identify your team's total vulnerability to phishing attacks that exploit the pandemic situation. So test your own vulnerability to phishing attacks for free now at CanIBePhished.com.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy in these very turbulent times. In this episode, I want to break away from our normal news format and offer some timely tips and advice. As I'm sure you're aware, there have been many protests that have continued in the United States and all over the world recently, and I've seen a lot of concern from people about how they should protect their privacy and security while protesting. So, I thought it would be a good idea to share with you some tips on how you can stay more private and secure if you or someone you know is choosing to participate in a protest. First of all, in the United States, you have a constitutional right to peacefully protest. So whether or not you choose to do so, that's up to you. But if you do, there are certain precautions that you should take given the current climate. Even if the protest you're attending is peaceful, it doesn't mean it'll stay that way. And that means you could get caught up in a situation that could affect your privacy and security even if you haven't done anything wrong. And to be honest, anything can happen. That could include being arrested, having your smartphone confiscated or stolen, having your picture taken by the media or law enforcement, being recorded on video, or even being surveilled through facial recognition technology. Now, I'm not here to debate the current political climate or the reason you or someone else may want to protest. This is your decision and freedom to do so. But I do want you to strongly consider these tips and know that they can apply to anyone that is concerned about their privacy and security while protesting. So let's get into it with my first tip, and that's putting your phone in airplane mode, put it in a Faraday sleeve, or strongly consider powering it off while you're protesting. Your phone is constantly communicating with cell phone towers to transfer data and send and receive texts and voice calls. That means your cell carrier knows who you are, and any third party or government with access to cell tower data knows who you are as well. Not only that, state and local governments, and of course the FBI, have a history of using what are called IMSI catchers, which can intercept your texts and calls. It wouldn't surprise me one bit that local governments are using IMSI catchers in hotspots where we've seen massive protests over the last few weeks. Just remember, SMS text messages and regular phone calls are not encrypted along with your location data, and this could leave you vulnerable. Lastly, disable Bluetooth and Wi-Fi as well, as these two wireless technologies can also be used to track you. Of course, turning off your phone comes with a disadvantage, and that's not being able to communicate. One thing I've talked about on the show before is about your own personal threat model and how your threat model may be more relaxed than others. And that's totally okay. It's up to you to decide if keeping your cell phone on so that you can communicate with others is worth the risk of having those conversations intercepted. Now, if you're going to use your smartphone during a protest for communication, you should always use an end-to-end encrypted messaging app like Signal. Don't forget that you can use Signal for more than just messages. You can make phone calls as well. That means you can keep your communications secure all with one application. And if your threat model indicates that you should be ultra paranoid, you can always buy a burner phone with cash using prepaid minutes as another alternative if you do need to communicate during a protest. And now a word from our sponsor, Edgewise Networks. The biggest problem in security that remains unsolved are flat networks in cloud and data centers, with unprotected attack paths that allow threats to move laterally to cause data breaches. But microsegmentation using network addresses is complicated and takes too much time. But there's a better approach: Edgewise Zero Trust Auto Segmentation. Edgewise is impossibly simple microsegmentation, delivering results immediately with a security outcome that's provable. At the core of Edgewise Auto Segmentation is Zero Trust Identity, which allows workloads to communicate only after their software identity has been verified. Malicious or unimproved software is no longer allowed to communicate. Identity-based protection provides more coverage with fewer policies to make Edgewise simple to deploy and manage. No changes to the application or network are required. One solution protects virtual machines and containers in the cloud and on-premises. To stop lateral threat movement and prevent breaches, visit edgewise.net for a demo and to see results within minutes. This leads me to my second tip, and that's to turn off Face ID or Touch ID on your smartphone and use a strong passcode instead. The reason? Well, according to the EFF, some courts have found that you can be forced to unlock a phone with Face or Touch ID. So if you did get arrested, law enforcement can't unlock your phone by putting it up to your face or using your finger to unlock your device. Also be aware that in the US, you have the right to record law enforcement with your phone, and law enforcement may not search your phone without a warrant based on probable cause from a judge, even if you're under arrest. My third tip is to be aware of your surroundings, especially the location of surveillance cameras. Many cities are actively using facial recognition technology and are also monitoring these cameras for crimes and other related activity. Like I mentioned before, you may not be doing anything wrong, but you may be in a specific group of people that are, or just in the wrong time in the wrong place. And this leads me to my fourth tip, which is to be careful with the clothes you wear, meaning don't wear anything that would make you easily identifiable and cover any tattoos. Also, make sure you wear a mask. You'll most likely be wearing a mask anyway due to the global pandemic, but also think about adding sunglasses to the mix, which will make surveilling you that much more difficult. My last tip is to be very careful not to share too much information on social media about your location, details about the protest, or pictures and videos you may take during the protest. Governments and law enforcement are actively monitoring social media, and your tweet or Facebook post could be used against you and others. That's why you should double check your Facebook and Twitter settings to ensure you're not sharing your location and that you're very careful what you post and say on social media. Don't forget common sense and be safe if you do choose to exercise your right to protest. That's a wrap for this week's show. Visit our website, sharedsecurity.net, for previous episodes, links to our social media feeds, our YouTube channel, and to sign up for our email newsletter. First-time listener to the podcast? Please subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you like this episode, please share it with friends and colleagues. Thanks for listening, and see you next week for another episode of the Shared Security Weekly Blaze.